Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast. We're talking about how to deal with weight loss saboteurs. They're going to be there, and a lot of times they don't mean to do it, but it's going to happen anyways. So there's a couple steps and a couple ways to approach this, and you want to kind of pick and choose which ones will work best for you. But before I tell you what the specific kind of techniques to use about it are, I just want to frame it a little bit so that you go into this with a bit more empathy. I think it's easy to get triggered and get upset, excuse me, when people are sabotaging you and you're trying to do all this hard work to, excuse me, make the right choices, but they're kind of sabotaging you by having foods around you, offering foods when you're trying to be good. So the first thing to understand is that you want to have empathy for them, because when you start making healthier choices, if you start getting results, it's kind of like you're holding a mirror up to them. Not intentionally, you're doing this for you, but a lot of times people around you initially are going to start to kind of question where they're at. And so it kind of puts some pressure on them that they didn't really put on themselves. So, you've experienced this. You've had friends or family that start eating healthier, losing weight, and you know how it feels. And so I think we want to initially start with that framing, that we want to have some compassion and empathy for the people that are trying to sabotage us, because I'm telling you, it makes it better. Because when you go into it with empathy, you're in a more calm, relaxed state where you can see the bigger picture and then put into effect the big strategy that I want to share with you. So when you have saboteurs, it can be challenging, but listen, we all got challenges. Okay, so you need to identify your biggest weight loss challenges, and it may be people sabotaging. You may live in an environment where people are bringing tempting foods in. Okay, you have to acknowledge that that's one of your biggest challenges, and then you go to work on dealing with it. And I will let you know that it is almost never a matter of them sabotaging you as much as it is that you are not motivated enough. And I know that hurts a little bit, but listen, you've got to take responsibility for this. If anything is true about weight loss, it's that you are 100% responsible for what you're putting into your mouth and how you're living. And so, yes, you may have challenges, you may have temptations, you may have people, kind of trying to sabotage you, but it still comes back to you. It's up to you. This is your decision. And so if you are around people trying to sabotage you, it just means that you need to focus even more on your motivation, meaning you need to be absolutely crystal clear about why you want to make this happen. You need to have a white hot motivation of why you want to do this. And I will let you know that just wanting to look better is usually not enough. So if you don't feel that motivation, then it's just a signal that you need to go back to the drawing board with your motivation and get yourself absolutely fixated and focused and obsessed with the goal that you want to achieve. Now, I will tell you that one of the ways to create this deeper motivation is to go beyond just looking better. So you want to take your weight loss rapid in personal development. Make this a process of being the best version of you possible. What's most important to you in your life? How is that going to improve when you not only lose weight and look better, but more importantly, when you're more clear-headed, when you have more energy, when you're living healthier, when you have a lighter, stronger, more mobile body, right? When all of these things are happening and you step into this new reality for yourself, how are the most important things in your life going to improve? And this is how we want to start to reframe the process, not just about losing weight and looking better. We need to make this more meaningful. And when you hit the right meaning, right, when this really, really matters, it won't matter to you anymore what people are trying to do, because you will be grounded in yourself and your own motivation to get the results that you want. So I know this isn't what you want to hear necessarily, because again, I'm putting it all on you, but it's all on you anyways. Let's not bullshit ourselves, right? It's all on you, regardless if you got someone sabotaging you or not. We live in an environment that's constantly trying to sabotage us. Constantly, whether you live with that person or not, or whether you're around that person or not, the whole environment's trying to sabotage you. So you got to take this as a challenge. Okay, don't take it as they got one up on you and they're ruining your diet. Never use that language. It makes you sound and feel powerless. You're ultimately always in control. And I will let you know that one of the greatest feelings in the world is if you do have someone trying to sabotage you, when you absolutely stand firm and you get the results that you want in spite of it. It's one of the most exciting feelings in the world, simply because it really reinforces just how powerful you are. So I hope this helps you out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. It can be about anything weight loss related. Feel free to ask them. What's up, Karen? How's it going? I don't know if I missed any questions. If I did, I'm going to get them now. Lorena, how you doing? Lorena, I looked at your email. I don't know what to do now because there was one email that you'd sent that I think you wanted to use, but you had used it before, and then there was a spam thing. You must have hit a spam button, maybe by accident, but now it's in that system like forever. So I don't know. Shoot me an email again with the email that you want to use, and I can try and go to my email service and get that greenlit. But if you have another email, that would probably be the best solution. So anyways. What's up, Don? Hi, Jim. I'll eat my Valentine's cupcakes this year with zero guilt. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's ironic. It's a weird kind of trick of the mind in a little bit, in a way that one way to kind of motivate yourself to eat better and lose weight and take control of it is ironically like to focus on getting more pleasure out of food, right? Because I'm a big believer that the most pleasure you can get out of eating your favorite food is to eat it at your goal weight, when you're in control of your eating behaviors, your emotions, your lifestyle. So yeah, like again, dieters always think, I'm never going to be able to eat ice cream. I'm never going to eat a cupcake again. You do this all or nothing thing, and you say, I don't want to live that way. What's the point of losing weight if I can't eat a cupcake on Valentine's Day, right? If that matters to you. And so I don't agree with that way of going about it. And would program yourself in a weird way, we hold the most pleasurable food there is for you to eat as that's the top of the mountain. That's what we're focusing on. The thing that allows me to be clean for 5 days of my eating is even right here, I'm on Tuesday, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to eat this weekend. Most of the pleasure you get out of food, by the way, is about the anticipation of it. You have more wiring in your brain for the anticipation of pleasure than the experience of pleasure. Again, why? Because we evolved in a food scarce environment where it was difficult to get the food. So you needed more motivation to get the food than to eat it once it's in front of you. So anyways, that's great, Don. I'm really happy to hear that. Yeah, so enjoy that. Enjoy that cupcake. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Says, I get that fat loss should be marathon. Lorena says, I get the fat loss should be a marathon, not a sprint, but what's your thought for a person who have health issues because of obese? Yeah. No, I get that, Lorena, but again, the same problem exists. And if you're obese, whether you lose the weight in 3 months, 6 months, or a year is going to make very little difference for most people. Okay. And so it's not, fat loss. I like to say like weight mastery is a marathon, ironically, because the fat loss, it is a marathon though. It takes longer than you think most of the time. So when you orient yourself to a longer time frame, it is really helpful. But yeah, if you got health issues, I mean, you can only lose the weight so quick. So, again, it's a trick of the mind. You want to just fix all the health issues, but how are you going to do that? Go on keto and do that for 3 months and then what? So I think the other piece is that, things improve as well. Again, as dieters, we tend to think in point A and point B, where we start, where we finish. But along the journey, right, let's just say between point A and point B, 25% of the way there, you start improving. Health numbers start getting better. 50% of the way, health numbers start getting better. So, we don't want to just look at the point A and point B as just, now I'm unhealthy, I'm obese and unhealthy, and now I'm here and I'm at my goal weight and I'm healthy. It's a spectrum. It's again, there's white, black, and there's a gray in between, varying shades of it. So it's important to keep that in mind, because if you think that you don't get the health benefits until you lose all the weight, that's a very destructive thought. This is a great, again, all of us have all these beliefs in our head about weight, all kinds of beliefs about weight, our health, food, exercise, lifespan, all of this stuff. And again, that's another piece of the mindset. I don't really talk a lot about this, but throughout the Program Yourself Thin course, these are the things you start identifying. That's why I always say awareness precedes change, because we're all walking around with these beliefs that we're not questioning. Again, beliefs are very interesting because part of the nature of them is that they just sit back there not being noticed, and that's where they get a lot of their power from. So it's such a powerful process to start questioning the beliefs that you have, and you're going to find a lot of them are total bullshit, and just questioning them just blows them up. And then some of them you have to spend a little more time with. But again, it is the beliefs that we're holding that are driving so much of our behaviors and ultimately the weight and the health that we get. Deanna says, I really liked how you said most people lose less than they think in a month, but more than they think in a year. Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. And again, that's the dieting thing, the dieting that we've all been exposed to literally our entire lives at this point. Literally, we were born into an environment of overwhelming food and a diet mindset. It's unavoidable. And so, yeah, the diets are always fixating us on short-term weight loss. Every single diet. I literally have never seen an alternative to that. And they do that. Again, we have cognitive biases we're born with, and the big one is future discounting. We're more interested in right now than the future because, again, we lived in well, it's always like this. We have a perception it's not like this, but it was a lot more up in the air for millions of years, right? So what was going on now was more important than what might be going on in 2 years, right? We weren't thinking that way in the natural world. So we have a bias where, again, the future discounting is if I say I'll give you $100 now or $200 in 3 years, right? You'll probably take the $100 now because I'll just take it out now, thank you. I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 years. So the same thing comes into play with the food and with the weight. So the weight loss, the diet companies know that you have this. We all have it. And we're all impatient. And so they're always selling the fast weight loss because that's what's most exciting to you. So you've got to put that to the side and you have to use your prefrontal cortex, the newest part of your brain, which is the logical, rational part of your brain. Thanks, Don. And you got to say, yes, I know I want instant results, but that way has not served me. My fixation on instant results has caused me to be stuck at the same way for 30 years. And so, again, I always relate this to like compound interest. If you ever look at compound interest, it's a very similar thing. That the idea of compound interest at first is kind of like, oh, geez, that's nothing. I'd rather just spend this money now and buy something cool or get some big return now. But compound interest over time is, as Einstein said, one of the most powerful forces in the universe. So it's the same thing here. Yes, emotionally, we're really tapped into and excited by fast weight loss, and slow weight loss seems very just kind of like it's discouraging, boring, frustrating. There's no emotional reaction to it. But logically, you have to override yourself. And you do this all the time, folks, right? I mean, how many days do you wake up and you'd rather just lay in bed and hang out all day than go to work? But what do? You override your automatic emotional response and you say, no, I want to go to work. And you think about, all the consequences. And this goes on and on. I mean, a lot of times you like to go to the mall and go on a shopping spree, right? But you override that emotional desire with your logical mind. Right? If you're in a relationship, you may want to get with someone, in the short term, but you override that, with your logical mind, think of the big picture. So, I mean, it's thing after thing after thing that you do this with, but food, you have been very, very conditioned to just give into it right now. Okay. And so, that's part of programming yourself in, is programming yourself to have different thoughts, ideas, beliefs that are underpinning your ultimate success. And the diet industry is always putting beliefs in there that really sabotage you. They're the biggest saboteur of all. We started this call with people trying to sabotage you. The biggest saboteurs of all of the diet industry, followed right by the food companies. And they're one and the same anyways. I will say it because I say it every day. All the big diets you're referencing on how to lose weight are all owned by the food companies. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products is owned by the same company that owns Auntie Anne's Pretzels and Cinnabon. The company owns Slim Fast, owned by the same company that owns Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So it's a crazy world out there. But they're not going to push some plan that's going to make you consume less of their food. I think we can all agree with that. We all understand corporations exist to make a profit, and they're obsessive on their profits. And so they would never, I always joke, they're never going to buy Program Yourself Thin and push that out to the world. Guaranteed. Because the second they did, their profits would instantly start going down, because everyone in Program Yourself Thin kind of naturally starts moving away from those foods. So you'll never see it. They'll just keep pushing the diets, which are all based around one thing. Right, every diet is one thing. Stop eating carbs, eat 1,200 calories, count your points. It's always one thing. It's a tactic. And you need much more than a tactic to master your weight. You need a comprehensive, holistic plan, So anyways, what's Lorena say? I have a very little one, not something big, but I feel a little pressure because of this, like hurry. Yeah, no, I get it. We all feel pressures to lose weight quick. Like all of a sudden we make it the most important thing in the world and then we get really impatient with it. But you have got to learn to manage the impatience. You have to, because if you get too impatient, it's just such a big saboteur of it all, What's up, Marcy? How's it going? I don't want to miss any questions here. Jody says, "Hi Jim, did you get snow?" We did not get snow, but I don't care. I wanted snow anyways. I like getting snow, but I have kids in school, and it's like sometimes they cancel school. They cancel school everywhere, and then it's like there literally is not a flake of snow around me. And the other school in town. They delayed it 2 hours, but they didn't cancel school at least, so that was good. So anyways, yeah, not a flake of snow. Thoughts on the Mediterranean diet? Oh, I love it. I think the Mediterranean diet's wonderful. Again, my problem is really like a diet. And so the issue I have with a Mediterranean diet is that if you go into it like a diet, you're probably not going to succeed, because if you do the all or nothing thing, even with a great diet like the Mediterranean diet, you will change everything all at once for a couple days or a couple weeks, and then you'll go back to what you always do. So we don't want to just change everything all at once, because it just has a really low likelihood of lasting. And so instead we want to be more strategic. And with the Mediterranean diet, I think the way you be strategic with that is you just start to systematically start to bring more fruits, vegetables into your diet, whole grains, whole foods, limited, fish proteins and whatever kind of proteins that you're bringing in, animal proteins. And so again, it's the transition. It's again, this is what I'm saying, like with the diet mentality, like a weird cold thing. So if I sound a little weird today, I'm on the cusp of a sore throat, but I think I've beat it back. I think, but yeah. So I like the Mediterranean diet. If we talk about diet as like a way of that people eat, I don't like diets really in any form, because it usually implies some drastic 100% all or nothing change in a day, and that just has such a low likelihood of working out. So yeah, as a way to eat, I think Mediterranean diet's probably at the top of the charts. I think that's the way that has been proven without question to be the healthiest diet. So, and I think there's not very much debate about that. You'll see all sorts of stuff online, because it's online, right? I always joke about this, but we live in the information age, right? Which I think we all assumed before the information age hit. We always assumed it was going to be like, oh, we're going to know what's right and wrong. We're going to know. But I think what happened is there's just so much information, you can believe whatever you want. And so, there's people out there saying you should just eat meat, that you shouldn't eat any carbs. I don't think there's much data backing that up. There might be short-term data that if you're really in bad shape and you start doing that and you're consuming less calories, you start losing weight and you get healthier. But it's, no one ever talks about the long-term effect of these things. And Mediterranean diet, you can study the long-term effect of it. It's you know what I mean? The generations have been living that way, and they're a very healthy population. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So I certainly, that's a description of my diet. I would say it's Mediterranean diet based. I'm also a pescatarian, so I don't eat land animal, which I don't have a problem with eating animals necessarily. I do a little bit, like it's a little bit, that it's a bit animal stuff. So I don't get into that, and I don't want to preach to you guys about diets and stuff, but what I do appreciate, and I'm really glad I did it, is becoming basically vegetarian, pescatarian, is that I really cut out a lot of the factory farming. And I think the quality of what they're giving to you is very low quality compared to what it was. I'm just reading this book called The Dorito Effect. It is fascinating. And they were talking about even chickens, okay? And back like 100 years ago, they had a giant national competition that who could make the fastest growing chicken. And so long story short, what all the food basically, but especially the livestock, it's been optimized for over 100 years now for economic concerns. Which chickens grow the fastest, okay? Because it's all about, birth to processing. And so they've been selecting the fastest growing chickens, not the tastiest ones. And on top of that, again, another thing that factors into flavoring is how old the animal is. And so the younger the animal, the blander the meat. Okay, that's why veal is a very bland meat. It's very soft and tender, but it's also very bland. And so, you're getting a much less flavorful meat than you used to. Because, again, another factor of what makes meat flavorful is what the animals eat. And again, animals in the natural world are eating lots and lots of different things. They're basically nutrient aggregators in the wild. But now they're eating, they're eating diets that are very homogenized and really just built to put weight on them as fast as possible. So anyways, I got off on a tangent there, but I think that is something that supported me because I really have built my diet around fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans. And I think that you can't go wrong. If you do that, I think you're going to have a much easier time mastering your weight. You could certainly master your weight eating meat as well. I just think, and I remember making that decision when I decided to be a vegetarian, 25 years ago. Part of my decision was that if I stop eating meat, that's like 50-60% of the most unhealthy things I eat have meat in them. You know what I mean? Like I've eaten like meatball grinders for lunch, not that you can't eat eggplant Parmesan grinder, but it's like back then there wasn't like now it's different things. You can get all non-meat replacements, and I'm glad I don't eat that either. So when I started becoming vegetarian, it was like you're either eating meat and a lot of it was more processing, but a lot of calorie stuff for me anyways. And as I started eating vegetarian back then, there wasn't a lot of replacement stuff. So I really started to eat more healthy and natural foods, and now you could be a vegetarian and be just as unhealthy because you can eat a lot of foods that, you're not eating fruits, vegetables, greens and beans. You're eating a lot of processed stuff, but it just doesn't have meat in it. So anyways, I don't go into that too much because I don't want to program yourself in. What I look to do here is I like to be diet agnostic. I help people with any diet they want to do because it's up to you to figure out what diet works best for you. And so for me, the pescatarian diet works best, but it may not be that way for you. So I'm not out here telling you which diet's best because it depends on you. And I see Deanna says, my friend is convinced the caveman diet is the only right one. First of all, they don't even know how fucking cavemen eat. What I love is the paleo diet, right? Which was supposed to be, basically meat. And it turns out that the paleo people were eating 130 grams of fiber a day. It's just like, why you eat like a caveman? You eat like a caveman. First of all, if you eat like caveman, eating bugs, or, you know what I mean? You go watch Alone. If you want to know how people are eating, watch that show Alone. But I don't blame anyone because, again, as I said, the information age is just constantly, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Anyways, Lila says, did you buy your followers? You have very low views, but have many followers and nobody's in this live. I did not. I've never bought followers. I would never in a million years buy followers on TikTok. I would much rather spend that money some other way. But views, I will tell you, I don't give a shit. No one cares about views on TikTok. Anyways, what do you want about it? I'm a follower. He's amazing. And you won't get a better program than this. Thank you, Jody. No negativity here. I know sometimes I love the negativity, but I just let it go. Deanna says, exactly. I don't get it. All red meat doesn't seem intuitively healthy. Exactly. It's not. It's a weird thing. Again, I don't like to, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I like to use like common sense things to try and make my best decisions. And I think one thing about the meat thing and the protein thing in this culture is you have to recognize just how much money there is in selling meat, and I always joke, Oprah was pretty big, and she still is, but she was just at the height of her empire. And what'd she say? Stop eating so much hamburgers. They sued the shit out of her and she ended up settling. So it's like, it's a very, very powerful lobby that influences things on levels you can't even imagine. And so I think this idea of a lot of these diets built around meat, I think that there's a secondary gain for a lot of the people that are pushing that. Not the people you're hearing from necessarily, not like the influencer level, but on behind the scenes, there is so much money in livestock and in processed foods. And so anyways, there's very few cultures that live, there's very few cultures that live in ketosis. Let's just go to that one. When I say very few, I meant zero. Again, you might have some Eskimos going into ketosis for a couple months a year because they're just eating whale stuff. But there's no like thriving community that's lived in ketosis. It's a diet that was started 100 years ago for epileptics. So again, it just, if it counterintuitively, you're kind of like, that's why I think the Mediterranean diet, the Blue Zones, if you ever read that book, there's a lot of, I think, pretty obvious wisdom there, that eating, geez, you can, and people I think are kind of smart sometimes. I've listened to doctors, I've seen people that I consider to be kind of smart talk about how you shouldn't eat plants because plants have defense chemicals in them. So it's like we're at a stage in history here where you can literally hear anything, and then they'll back it up with some study, But again, do you really think you shouldn't eat plants? Like, again, and you just pick who you pick who you're going to pick, and you ride with them. This is why I don't argue it. I've worked with people in my program that are carnivores. Do I think that's the way? I don't, But if that's what they think and that's what they want to do, great. Let me help them do it. That's what I do. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian. And I've seen people thrive to some degree with a lot of diets. I think the case is closed. I think a carb-free diet is a strange thing to do. I think a heavy meat, heavy saturated fat diet, I would never do that, but it's up to each person to decide what they want to do and see how you feel, And so again, I would never debate someone on what they want to do because I don't give a shit. Choose what you want to do. And, I'll help you do it. Don says, I love my slow weight loss. Every pound I celebrate, even if it takes a month to move down. Yeah, exactly. And you can get in that mindset when you stop looking at getting to the goal weight as the final phase. It's not. Because, again, I love that question, but how long do you want to keep the weight off for? Right? And it's forever. Okay, but when you think about weight loss, all you do is think about the weight loss. The weight loss is just a phase. So I'm going to take you a couple of weeks, months, or years to lose the weight, and then you're going to be at your goal weight, and then you want to live there for the rest of your life. But you never focus on that part. You do drastic things to get down to your goal weight, and then if you do even get to your goal weight, you're just woefully unprepared. That you have to understand that, again, that's why I always work to make this distinction that there's weight loss and there's weight mastery. And weight loss is all about losing weight. And weight mastery is about living at your goal weight for the rest of your life on your autopilot. You tell me which one you want, because they're completely different. I'm not playing semantics here. It's completely different concepts. Because when you think about weight loss, I just want to lose the weight. And so you think of it as temporary. Then you say, I just want to get it over quick. How do I do that? I'd choose some extreme thing. Let me water fast. Let me cut my calories down to 1,000. I can do that for a while. Yeah, for a while. But what are you going to do ultimately? And so if you keep focus on weight loss, most likely where you're at is you're probably overweight. And you probably just keep on cycling. At best, you lose some weight and then put it back on. And at worst, you can't even get yourself started on a diet anymore, because you know this subconsciously. So, yeah, the slow weight loss is wonderful. Because Dawn, right, when she says that, she's reinforcing in her mind. When she celebrates every pound, she's reinforcing. She's got a different frame that she's experienced that pound weight loss in. And she knows, okay, that's another pound down. A pound closer to my goal to live at this goal weight. And she knows that she's looking at how she's living. She's got strategy. She's got processes in place that keep bringing her weight down. And so it's not the diet thing where you just feel like totally untethered and you're just doing this crazy shit just to lose weight. It's a much more robust, comprehensive plan, Dawn has a great attitude. How to deal with cravings. Yes, good question, Shayla. So dealing with cravings is a big question. I want that to be known. And so there's a lot of different ways to do it. Oops. Hold on a second. So cravings, with everything, I think it takes kind of a comprehensive, holistic approach to it. So you would have to be way more specific with the cravings. And this is what I suggest you do, is you need to get more specific about what cravings. Your apple cravings, your banana cravings, your salad cravings. No, I know, I'm joking, but I know it's processed food cravings to some part, but what ones specifically? Because even though you have processed food cravings, there's specific ones of them that are more problematic than others. There's specific times of the day or week when you're getting cravings that are more problematic than others. And so you can't just change all your cravings at once because all the cravings are unique and different. So this is a big step. I think in Program Yourself Thin, I always encourage people to start their weight mastery plan by focusing on their worst eating habit. Pick the habit that you think's the worst eating habit for you and focus on that until you get a handle on it. And again, dieters don't want to do it because they want to change everything all at once and get fast results, but they try and take on too much all at once. Again, I always use the metaphor because you don't even realize this, right? You've been habituated, it seems normalized to just totally change all your eating just in one day. And you're just going to be able to maintain it. And it reveals a complete and total lack of understanding how your mind works, is what it does. And dieters have no fucking clue how their mind works. Honestly, you don't know anything about mindset. And so it's like, if you don't think your mind has a huge part to play in your weight, I don't even know. What do you think? I would love to know. And I do know because I get dipshits on social media that tell me it's discipline. You know, what the fuck's discipline? What's discipline? Tell me. How do I become more disciplined? How do I just do it? Just do it? Like, do you know what I mean? Just do it? Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be more advice than that. But that's what you get with the diet world. And that's why it's such a toxic thing in my mind, because if like you don't do it, then you feel like you're the bad person. But the reality is you've never learned how to shift your mindset. Never. You wouldn't have the first, like discipline's an illusion anyways, to be honest. No one has a deeper, granular understanding of how to create discipline. You're just going to be more disciplined. Just be more disciplined. Don't eat carbs anymore. Well, the flip side of don't eat carbs anymore is completely change how you eat. And that's an overwhelming thing, right? That's like waking up tomorrow and say, you know what, from now on, I'm going to write with my other hand. I'm going to use my phone with my other hand. I'm going to brush my teeth with my other hand. I'm going to do everything with my other hand. Use my mouse with my other hand. Oh, yeah? Let me know how disciplined you are with that. Let me know how it's going by 11 o'clock. And you've worn through all of your willpower, and now you're just fucking irritated that you got to use your other hand. Let me know how it goes. You know? So, again, it's just a complete lack of understanding of the granular, subconscious, mental processes that are driving your weight. And if you don't know about those, I mean, what are you doing? You know, you're wondering why you're not getting results, but you keep looking for more plans. You're just looking for more people to tell you what to do. Well, that ain't the problem. You already know enough about what you should and shouldn't do to lose weight. You don't know how to get yourself to do it consistently because you don't understand your mind. You don't understand how to influence the granular things that are affecting your weight. And until you learn those, again, I just don't know. And I'm open to learning. If you have a better suggestion, I want to hear it. You know, but I just don't see it. I spend a lot of time looking for better ideas. I'm not trying to be a trailblazer here. I started my whole career off. Someone just show me what to do so I can help people. And I looked around and I said, oh shit, there's no one to learn from. Literally, there's no one to learn from. Who do you learn from to help people master their weight? Who do you learn from to help people change their mindset so they can think like a thin and healthy person? Yeah. Give me some names, folks. Do you know what I mean? You've been trying to lose weight for 30 years. I ask you, who can I learn weight loss mindset from? Give me some names. Crazy world. How could that, you know what I mean? It's just a crazy world. Now I say this to you, I'm not busting your chops. I'm saying this to make you realize that it's not you. You're not the problem. You're not a broken person who has a broken willpower machine inside of you or has an over addicted food machine in you. It's the fact you've never learned how to influence your mindset. It ain't rocket science. It's just no one's learned. No, I kind of created myself. I've done this for 20 years professionally. I've done almost 6,000 private weight loss sessions. So I just kind of created it because no one had it. So again, mindset for me is a specific thing. We take it through 6 categories. So anyways, whoops, I'm going to get through some questions. I got caught up there. OG Thrifter, I don't believe in diets. I just believe in eating lots of fruits, vegetables, and legumes sometimes. Yeah, I'm in there too. I'm right in that ballpark. Hey Hazel, it's pancake day in the UK today, so I had 3 pancakes. Yeah, well, it's a Valentine's Day here, but that's why I got a little, you know, because I ate a bag of donuts. When I say a bag of donuts, I'm talking about like a donuts, you know what I mean? Like a big one. And my kid got it Saturday night, and I plowed through them in a day and a half, and my whole throat was hurting. You know, that was an additional bunch of other shitty food I ate. So yeah, enjoy your pancakes. I like pancakes. I had a pancake that day too, but I like them with bananas in them. I'm enjoying my banana pancakes. I ate today some sweetened cake. Firstly felt bad, and then it reminded me of your all or something mindset shift. That's great, Lorena. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you can't be all or nothing, and I'm glad you said that because that's like a more subtle, nuanced all or nothing, which is that. Oh, I'm going to lose weight now. And now you think, oh, I can never eat a piece of cake. I can never eat a cookie. I can never eat a potato chip. And you put yourself in this state of deprivation that just gets stronger and stronger by the day. I would say that is probably psychologically the main thing that dooms most people to lose weight is the all or nothing mindset. And in their minds, they make up all these stories. They keep talking. I did this. I remember when I was a raw foodist. And I was driving to, this is the day I stopped being a raw foodist, is I was driving to work and I remember thinking, how am I going to celebrate if I get a promotion? I just started this job. I wasn't going to get a promotion anytime soon. What I'm trying to tell you is I was so obsessed with thinking about food because I was doing this raw food diet. I was so obsessed with food that I was thinking to myself, how am I going to celebrate if I get a promotion while I'm driving to work and I'm freaking out? And then I realized, holy shit, I'm thinking about food all constantly. And so while I did feel pretty good physically on that diet, mentally and emotionally, it was absolutely not healthy for me. And I realized that was the last time I ever even tried a diet. So I think that's what ruins most people, is that subconsciously on the diet, you're constantly telling yourself, I can't have anything I enjoy ever again, which is a big reason why Program Yourself, then we do the 5-2 model, 5 days of clean eating, 2 days of pleasure eating. And you say, oh my God, well, if I have pleasure days, I'd eat everything. Yeah, that's the fucking problem. That's what you got to fix. Guess what, man? You don't know how to lose weight. The dieters just walking around like, oh, I know what I got to do. I just got to do it. No, you have no clue what to do. You really don't know anything to do to lose weight. You don't have any clue how to lose weight. Well, because you think you'd have to stop eating carbs? What a dumbass plan. I mean, could it be any more simplistic? And you fucking believe in it? Like, that's what I don't get. Again, I always joke around. It's like I never played piano before. I'm not piano. That's easy. All you got to do is hit the right keys in the right order at the right time. Simple. I'll play any song you want. No, you won't. No, you won't. And that's kind of like what the diets are. Just stop eating carbs. Okay. Did you take into account how that's going to show up in your life? Have you taken into account what it's like to go to birthday parties for the rest of your life and you can't eat a piece of cake? Right? If you take that into account, take into account a life never eating a piece of pizza again. Have you thought that out? I don't think you have. So anyways, yeah, you got to have, I think, if you're living 2024 in America, if your plan to lose weight is to never eat sugar or a carb again, let me know how it goes. But that's good for you, Lorena. It felt good. Yep. I love being a pescatarian. I never felt better. Yeah, I love being a pescatarian too. I think vegetarian, pescatarian is probably the way to go. Poor chickens, nothing but chicken trucks here. Plants, so heartbreaking. Oh yeah, in Delaware. Yep. I remember that. I lived down there one summer, and I had not realized that it's such a big chicken place. Caveman wear. That's like a great point. Yeah, something about the caveman diet, right? It wasn't just one caveman. That's such a great point, right? That we never think about. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's so often these diets are like, oh, paleo man. Oh, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, I'm going to eat like a human. We eat the human diet. Eat the Homo sapien diet. It's like, well, which fucking Homo sapien? That's like such a great point. Paleo people ate meat once a week if they were lucky to catch some. Yeah, exactly. That too. What's up, bastard? What do you do about chocolate on Valentine's Day? You eat it. You eat chocolate on Valentine's Day. You don't eat so much you go into a coma, but you eat some of it, and it's like, again, the reason why you're overeating chocolate, you're going to overeat on Valentine's. One of two things is going to happen if you're a dieter. Okay. Valentine's Day is going to come and you say, I can't eat any chocolate. And then you won't eat any chocolate, and then you'll finish the day and you'll be like, you're going to be pissed off. And you'll say, God, what's the fucking point? What am I doing in my life? I can't even eat chocolate on Valentine's Day, and then you'll probably eat chocolate for the next 3 weeks. Or you will eat chocolate on Valentine's Day and say, what's the point of being alive if I can't eat chocolate on Valentine's Day? Then you'll start eating it, and then you'll eat a bunch of it. That's what most dieters will do, okay? People in Program Yourself then will probably have some chocolate and then go about the rest of their day. So that's what I'd suggest. Eat it and enjoy. Yep. Thanks. Good ones. Yep. Zero need to stress and move on after you enjoy. Yeah. There you go, Don. Don knows. They don't really get it, right? They know what they're doing. They're all in the program, by the way. How do you handle emotional eating? The way you handle emotional eating is you seek to understand it. Okay. You're emotional eating for a positive reason. Right? We're always demonizing emotional eating, but that little behavior of emotional eating is subconsciously you're trying to do something positive for yourself. You're stressed out and you're using the food to feel more relaxed. You're feeling lonely and use the food to distract yourself from that. So we want to seek to understand emotionally, not just stop it. Seek to understand what emotions you're eating for. Because again, we can't just say emotional eating. You're doing all kinds of different emotional eating. And there's specific emotional eating patterns that are the worst ones. So start with those. And so let's just say you get home at night and now you feel lonely. Okay, I feel lonely and I'm using food to distract me from the loneliness. How do I want to feel? I'd like to feel connected. Okay, what are some ways I can feel connected? I could call my family and talk to them. I could go join a bingo club or whatever. There's a million things. But you need to first understand, why am I emotionally eating? What emotions am I eating to feel or to not feel? And then the question is, what do I want to feel in this situation? How can I feel that without food? So I think that's a much more long-term strategy to deal with your emotional eating than just trying to stop it. Okay. Am I wrong in trying to lose weight quickly? I get discouraged if I do it slowly. No, exactly. Of course you get discouraged if you do it slowly, because you've been conditioned. You've literally been hypnotized by the diet industry to think only of fast weight loss, and anything else is just boring and discouraging. It's a trick. Because again, you want to keep the weight off forever. So you want to live at your goal weight. That's the real goal. When I say it, yeah, of course, Jim, but all you want to do is lose it quickly. Well, how are you going to lose it quickly? You got to do extreme shit that's not sustainable. So it's a trap. And so I'm not saying you're wrong in trying to lose weight quickly, but I will say that if you only care about losing weight quickly, you're probably going to choose unsustainable plans that you can't keep up. So you'll lose weight quickly and then you'll put it on quickly, most likely. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you that's what's going to happen, but I'm asking you what has happened in the past, you know? And so what do you do though? Okay, so I get it. I see Lorena asking, I want it quickly too, but learning to slow down. How do you got to shift your focus, okay? And the focus really, the first thing is that you're not chasing weight loss. You're chasing weight mastery. That's such an important reframe because I want you to internalize. You've never done this. And this is why I want you to realize that you've been hypnotized by the diet industry to be overweight. Okay? And so part of that hypnosis is they only get you to think about losing weight. You don't even have a concept in your mind of living at your goal weight for the rest of your life. You don't even have a concept or an idea of being able to have mastered your weight, having the mindset, the lifestyle, and the eating strategies that you customize to yourself and are clear as day of what they are and that you follow to live at your goal weight. I want you to sit with that for a second. What I'm saying is you're just like, it sounds kind of good, but I've never thought that before. You've never thought about mastering your weight. And I say mastering your weight because when I say mastering your weight, you start to take control. Weight loss is inconsistent and unpredictable in the short term. So you can do everything perfect for this week, next week, and you may not lose any weight. And so if the only thing that matters is weight loss, it's almost guaranteed you're going to get discouraged because you're never going to lose as much as you want to at some point and you're going to get frustrated. But weight mastery is on a longer time scale. And so I like to say that, you know, I use the example like a plumber or accountant. If you want to become a plumber or an accountant, whether you got plumbing skills naturally or accounting skills naturally, if you decided you wanted to do that, you would do it because you would do 2 years, 3 or whatever long it takes. You would commit to it and you would master that and you become a plumber, an accountant, whatever you want to become. It's a different mindset. See, like again, with weight loss, I was using going to college, I think is a great example. When you go to college, you have this big frame, right? So I'm going to go to college for 2, 4, 6 years, 8, however long it takes to get my degree. And you're expecting and anticipating it's going to be difficult. You're going to do well. Some things you're going to get confused on and not do well on. You're expecting that, and so you're able to absorb and weather those things better. When it comes to weight loss, the second, there's like going to college and saying, I'm going to get my college degree as long as everything goes pretty well. And so the second you get like a bad grade or homework's confusing, I quit. I'm done. You know what I mean? So the framing of how you put around this process is so important. And so you're always framing just weight loss, and it's all about if you have a great week, like you do all your great stuff, you eat well, you exercise, and you step on the scale and you lose a pound or you lose no weight, how likely is it that you're going to go on to the second week? Very unlikely because you're shattered because everything depends on that scale moving. With weight mastery, what matters is the process. That's why in Program Yourself Thin, we have the weight mastery blueprints, mindset, lifestyle, eating, and you customize and fill out these weight mastery blueprints that are built for you. And you keep tweaking and optimizing them. So you feel a sense of, again, I go back to like plumbing just for example, because you just learn how to do it. You suck at first, and then you get better and you keep practicing and you just master it. And weight's no different, but you don't have that attitude, right? You're always just like, okay, let me see. I'm going to give it a try. Yeah, you're going to give it a try until something doesn't work out and you're going to quit. That fucking attitude is going to help you with anything in life that's hard. You've never approached your weight like as, I'm going to master this. And if you do, it brings into account the great saying that most people overestimate how much weight they can lose in a month and underestimate how much weight they can lose in a year. And so as you get obsessed with the process, I want to master my weight. I'm going to master my mindset, my lifestyle, my eating, so that it keeps me exactly the way I want to live at. Holy shit. It's a complete paradigm shift. And so I sit in front of you as someone who's done this and helped a lot of people do it as well. So again, that's the way you do it. You got to have a big reframe on it. I always fall off track on cheat days. It always turns into 2 cheat weeks. Yeah, I get that because it's not, the cheat days are not strategic, you know, and most importantly, the most important skill of weight mastery is the ability to get back on track quickly. Again, you as a dieter, you're just you're a streak master, right? As long, day 1, day 2, week 1, week 2, it's been 3 weeks I've been doing this, you know? You got to let go of that shit because we're preparing forever. And so you're going to make mistakes. See, the diet is just built around you being perfect. weight mastery is built around you not being perfect, but being able to get back on track quickly, which is why the core part of Program Yourself In, there's two core parts. There's the weight mastery blueprints that you fill out, but there's also the Program Yourself In technique. That's the core part of the whole process. What it's named after. It's a 2-minute hypnosis technique you use at night. It's the redo and rehearsal technique. And the redo technique's about being able to get yourself back on track quickly. Mistakes are your greatest teachers. You're not using them like that. You make a mistake and you're just blown way off course and see you in 3 months. So yeah, cheat days you have to figure out. And again, I don't even like the word cheat. It's got all sorts of stuff loaded into the phrase. We use pleasure days in Program Yourself Then, and you learn to eat for pleasure. Y'all don't know how to eat for pleasure. Again, right? Because you think pleasure is eating everything. So you learn how to eat for pleasure. The true pleasure eating is when you eat what you want to eat and you enjoy the hell out of it. But we're looking for not just the pleasure of eating it, but the pleasure afterwards too. So it's like when you eat like a whole half gallon of ice cream, is that really the most pleasure? If we take into account the consequence of that, do you feel good after you binge on a bunch of food? Do you? Physically, mentally, emotionally, that after you've done that, do you feel good? Probably not. So it's probably helpful to realize that. Burnett says, I watched You Are What You Eat. Everyone should watch it. I don't know if I can eat chicken now. It was sure an eye-opener. Yeah, I will tell you, again, one of the most powerful forms of programming is watching documentaries, reading, books about what the fuck you're actually eating. That's literally probably the most powerful programming you can do, is actually explore what you're eating. I got some videos I'm getting ready to make all about this stuff. So, which makes me remember two things. One is, if you're not in my world, make sure you go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session I give you. It's free. I got a video on there, 2 steps to master your weight. After that, watch that. Okay. It'll kind of reveal this whole system I'm talking about. It's all free. Okay. And then I email you every day. There's that. And then the other thing is, what was the other thing? And I don't remember. I don't know. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Watch YouTube. I'm starting to make longer form videos on there. And like I said, I'm going to put some videos about the foods we're eating. Might be helpful if you saw what they were. There's no right or wrong. It's what works best for you to live your goal weight. Exactly. Stop labeling food as a cheat. We're allowed to enjoy food. Absolutely. I just had craving for apple like 10 minutes ago before you talked about cravings. Now I snack on the apples. Yeah, and watch the live. There you go. See? That's smart. Anyone who watches these lives regularly or listens to them on the podcast, you should associate it with an apple or banana or something, a pear, just some fruit, something healthy, celery, carrots, whatever. Link it together. Okay, that would be a smart move to do. Good move. Yeah, that's a good one. Hardest thing ever equals raw food diet. Yeah, raw food diet was definitely hard, I would say. But I learned a lot from it. Again, in life, right, you do things, you either learn what to do or you learn what not to do, right? And if you take that approach, I don't know, you're pretty much guaranteed success. That's why I say, like, again, a dieter, the second they make the mistake, they're just so blown off course, right? You're so black or white, so all or nothing, that the second you make the mistake, you're totally, I'm done. And it's like, how could you get good at anything with that attitude? I don't know how you could. You got to make mistakes and learn from them in order to progress and evolve and get better. And the weight's no different. You buy your own chocolate-covered cherries. Skibbity toilet. 10 billion cells take a lot of mastery. 10 billion cells takes a lot of mastery. Yeah. Is that how many cells we got in us? It's crazy. It does take a lot of mastery. But isn't it worth it? That's the other piece too, You've been sold, like as a dieter, you're constantly sold short-term fixes and easy fixes. And so, yeah, I mean, like Program Yourself In is probably the easiest way ever that you could master your weight, but it's not easy. I mean, you got to learn stuff. You got to take action. You got to do things. You got to think, gasp, But that's why Program Yourself In is only for certain people anyways. It's not really for a lot of people. It's for overthinkers. It's for people that are probably on the perfectionist scale, people that are successful professionally or personally in their way, but that are struggling with the weight. So yeah, it's really not, I would say it's not for most people, but to be completely honest, which is why I kind of set up the way it is. You could go buy it from Program Yourself In, but pretty much the only way you can get the program is basically you got to watch the training first and see if it even fits for you. Because if it's not for you, I don't want you in the program. But yeah, it takes a lot of mastery. But what's more important than this to master in your life? Has anyone got any answers? What's more important than mastering your weight and your health? I don't even know. I work with people that are multimillionaires. People make 25 grand to work with me. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that even the money doesn't cover up the weight and the health piece of life. It's the most important thing. I believe that anyways, you know. But yeah, it's worth the mastery for sure. What's your opinion why somebody is gaining weight and others don't get big never in life? I mean, there's just a million factors for it. There really are. I believe a lot of it. I believe most of it's, some of it's genetic, no doubt. But as I love the saying that genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger. So even if you have unhelpful genetics, it still comes down to really your mindset, because your mindset controls your behaviors. So it's always a behavioral thing, ultimately. And but your behaviors rely on your mindset. So there's just a lot of reasons why some people live thin and some people don't. And some of it's genetic, some of it is environmental, some of it's psychological. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. But I will say this, that if you've struggled with your weight, I don't know you, but I know for a fact, I know what I'm going to say is 100% true, no exception. You've never studied or intended or practiced how to think like a thin and healthy person. You've never learned how to think and behave like a naturally thin, healthy person. And so until you do, you're always going to think like an overweight person who's trying to lose weight, aka a dieter. Resonance says, thank you. Perfect advice. Mastery of weight loss is the key. Hope I can follow the advice. See, that's the thing. Don't hope. Don't hope. Hope's a weak word, right? Because you're giving up control. So it's like, again, this goes back to the college thing I was talking about. Oh, I hope I can become a plumber. I hope I can become an accountant. Hope I can become. Well, you're either going to do the work and do it, or you're not. Do you know what I mean? Like I like that because it empowers you. I hope, I'm going to try. These things just imply, it's not like up to you. It's always up to you. And so resonance, I'll tell you, I don't know if you're not, but again, I will tell you things that will encourage your path. The best thing you can do, and again, I'm not here to sell my program, but it's like, at the very least, you should go get the hypnosis session and watch the video I made for you. That's the first thing. Kind of just goes over the whole system. But then if you're even remotely serious, Program Yourself Thin is an 8-week program that keeps you on track. It's kind of, that's the difference between, I'm going to become an accountant, I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm going to do Coursera and I'm just going to learn everything about accounting. Maybe. Maybe. But did we not learn anything? I don't know if maybe y'all didn't have kids in school during COVID, but there's a huge difference between when someone goes into a classroom in that environment and learns from a teacher and when someone just tries to do it on their own. So I think investing in yourself is a huge part of the process, So anyways, that hope turns into a much more belief when you invest in yourself and you have a plan that you're following with. Again, this is the problem. When you're trying to do it yourself, you're just trying to figure it out, but you have no system, no framework to follow. Program Yourself Thin is so amazing because, there's just multiple things. I know what gets people results. It's not drastic changes, folks. That's not what gets people results. Not the ultimate results you're looking for. That's why my program, I deliver it through the phone because I know like in the morning that you're going to look at your phone first thing and you're going to see a message from me every day for 8 weeks. And then you click on the message and go listen to a 5-minute hypnosis session. Then you fill out your blueprints and then you use your technique at night. And so you step into this, I always call it like a weight mastery cocoon, because you need support. Again, I'm not here to sell my thing. Get support from wherever you want. Why you wouldn't use mine, I don't know. But again, I'm not here to just promote this, but, yeah, you need something, right? You can't just keep doing shit the same way you've been doing that hasn't been working and expect it's going to work, right? Treat Tom says, oranges. I love oranges. You absolutely can and will, but you have to listen often. Yeah, you got to listen often. How do you feel about exercise? I think exercise is fine, for its own reasons, for building muscle, for getting your heart rate up, for cardiovascular stuff. But in terms of exercise for weight loss, I think it's a sketchy proposition, although it is associated with weight loss. But I tell people when they're first starting don't start with the working out, the hardcore working out, because I think the problem there is that there's a thing called the licensing effect. And what happens is you start working out hard, and then you think, oh, I worked out and burned 500 calories. I'm going to eat that 200-calorie muffin, but you really burn 200 calories and the muffin's 500 calories. So the working out has a lot of negatives that comes with it for weight loss. The first one being that if you start working out somewhat intensely, you're going to be hungrier. There's a good chance you'll be sore initially, and you'll be more tired. And those are three things that drive you to be hungrier and make poor food choices. So again, for me, Program Yourself Thin's all about really mastering your eating, because I think mastering your eating is the real path to mastering your weight long term. Because, you know what I mean? Like when you're in your 70s, you're not going to be working out so hard to you know what I mean? You don't want to be relying on that. Now, again, I'm not saying don't exercise. You understand what I'm saying? I think exercising is great. But in the context of weight loss, I don't think you should build your weight loss around exercising, personally. I think you should build it around eating mastery. And then it's a much longer term proposition. And listen, you're going to get hurt sometimes too. So it's like people that rely on the exercising, they always get hurt at some point. Everyone gets hurt at some point. And now for 2 months, they got to step off, and now they put weight on and now they just feel destroyed. So I think the eating mastery, I broke my foot last September. I didn't have any shift in my weight because I'm a master of my eating. The exercise is a part of things, but again, it's a piece of things, not the main things. Azra says how to stay on track during Valentine's Day. It's just Valentine's Day. It's a one day, so I'm not going to say can't throw things off, but just realize it's a day. And I would, again, program yourself in. You would pre-plan it, right? So rehearse how you want tomorrow to go, and rehearse how it goes in a middling way, not like you going through the day and not eating any chocolate or not eating any cupcakes or whatever the sweets may be. Eat those things, but eat them somewhat moderately. Enjoy the hell out of them, but don't go crazy with them. It's a good question, Azra. Nippy Zippy, how's it going? Nippy Zippy's always killing it. I always get little reports from Nippy Zippy how well they're doing. How do you stay consistent? That's a great question. The secret to staying consistent is not willpower, right? I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, Jim, I got problems with consistency," as if the willpower is the problem. But I find a lot of times the problem with consistency is that people got horseshit plans they're trying to follow, right? So if you're asking me, how do I stay consistent with keto? Well, how the fuck would you ever stay consistent with keto? It's a goofy. You're never going to eat a carb again? How are you going to stay consistent with that? It's just so overwhelming, and especially on day one, right? I always love like people just eating their standard American diet. And the standard American diet, where the number one calorie source in the standard American diet is for the average American? Baked goods. Okay? So you eat your baked goods, and now you're saying, okay, now no more baked goods, no more carbs at all. I'm just going to eat protein and fat. That's all I'm going to eat. And then you struggle with it this second day, and you have trouble being consistent. Well, is that because you don't have willpower, or is it because it's a goofy plan? That'll leave that for you to decide, So I think a big part of your consistency is built around how you're approaching things. So again, with Program Yourself In, do we change everything all at once? No. We work on your worst eating habit. And if you got extra energy, we work on your first eating habit too. We keep it strategic. Again, I always say, it's okay. Let me frame it differently. Because you've gotten habituated to thinking about diets like a madman. Like for real, right? Because what I'm saying is, if we do the diet approach with learning to play the piano, and say, "Oh, I want to play the piano. I'm going to get the piano. I want to learn it. I'm going to play 10 hours a day. I've never played before. I'm going to start playing 10 hours every day. I want to get good fast." Okay, sounds like a great plan. Play your 10 hours. Let me know how you feel tomorrow morning when you wake up, because I know how you're going to feel. Your fingers are going to be cramped. You're going to hate the piano. And so now you're going to say the second day, you're not going to want to play. Certainly not going to play 10 hours a day. And then you're going to say, Jesus, why can't I be consistent? Well, it's because you have a goofy fucking plan. It's a goofy plan to go from 0 to 100, all or nothing. See, we always say all or nothing, but you're really out to shift it around, because you're usually nothing. You're doing nothing with your eating and your weight loss, and then you go to all. So we should call it nothing and all. I'm nothing and all. I'm nothing or all. Nothing or all. That's how you should say it. I got a nothing or all mindset, because you're mostly nothing. And then you expect you're just going to be all starting from that. So you see what I'm saying? So again, and I'm not saying you can't boost up the mindset and the willpower and the rest of it, but your plan is at least half the battle. Because again, if we stick with the piano thing, how do I stay consistent practicing 10 hours a day? You don't. You don't. Maybe you start 15 minutes a day and get used to that for a week. and then boost it up to a half hour. You know what I mean? So again, that's how you stay consistent. You be strategic. What does cutting out sugar do to your body? What cutting out sugar does to your mind is it makes you freak out and feel deprived, like you're never going to get to enjoy your favorite foods ever again. Because your favorite foods, I bet, have sugar in them. So that's the first thing. I want to just stop by the mindset on our way to the body. So yeah, I would imagine most of you all, your favorite food on the planet is probably has some sugar in it. And if it doesn't have sugar in it, it's got flour in it. It's a carb, refined carb. So what does sugar do to your body, though? I mean, yeah, sugar is an addictive substance, and it causes all kinds of problems. Yeah, Jude says so true. The mind comes first, and we got to stop by the mind first, right? Because again, we that's what the diet's always done. See, this is how the diets work: is they're always telling you they're like this ideal, magical solution. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you that if you, well, I think being ketosis is goofy, but I can't argue with you if you're American, if you cut down on your refined carbs, if you completely cut refined carbs out of your life and completely cut sugar out of your life, that's going to be the healthiest thing you could do for yourself. And weight-wise, it'll probably cause you to lose weight very quickly. So I would never argue with that. But I, myself, live in the real world. I have spent the last 20 years doing almost 6,000 private weight loss sessions working with people in the real world. So what the weight loss industry is, 100% of it, I'm going to define it with one concept, is the entire weight loss industry is telling you what to do. And they're always telling you like this perfect plan. Huberman's like this. I love the guy, but it's like, it's this super intense, extreme plan that no one's going to do. But it's the best plan. And so that's why I get a lot of perfectionists, because they perfection themselves right to being overweight for the last 30 years. And so we got to let go of the perfect stuff. We can't let the perfect be the enemy of the great, which is what a lot of people are doing. So, no, if I'm going to lose weight, I got to completely cut out sugar. If I'm going to lose weight, I got to completely cut out carbs. Oh, okay. Well, what if you cut them out by 50%? No, my body, I just need to get rid of all of them. Okay, what happens when you cut them all out? I do it for a couple days, and then I go back to eating all of them again. You know what I mean? So it's like, we're just lost in this. So yeah, so again, obviously cutting sugar out of your body would be great, but you're probably not going to do that. So let's get real. Again, I don't want to sit here and talk fucking fantasy land of like how amazing it would be for your body if you cut out all refined carbs and sugar. It'd be amazing. It'd be great. Just eat fruits, vegetables, salads, beans, all natural foods. Cut out any processed foods, any sugar, any flour. There you go, folks. And that's the diet industry. And I know that what I just told you means absolutely fucking nothing because you can't do it. That's the problem, folks. You're always being told what to do and you don't know how to get yourself to do it. That's the problem. So you got to stop. It's like you got to stop with the perfect plan. Because the perfect plan, you're just not. I always joke, like, it's a weird thing to say, but it's like, I don't want to be the healthiest person I can be. I said it. I said it out loud. But I don't. I like to drink some wine on the weekend. I like having a beer sometimes. I like eating pizza. I like eating pasta. I like eating this shit sometimes. I don't want to be the healthiest person I can be. It's a weird thing to say. You should say it, though, because it's fucking true. There's very few people who want to be the healthiest person they can be. Very, very few people. And the people that are like that, we think are nuts. Okay? So again, I know it's a weird thing to say, but it's just true. And I'm trying to tell you that because you're always thinking black and white. All the diets are selling you the perfect plan because you need the perfect plan if you're going to lose weight the fastest. I'm not going to tell you. Clearly, the fastest way to lose weight would be to completely cut out sugar, carbs, processed food, and extra calories. So it's not rocket science, but you're not going to do that in any consistent way. And so you better wrap your head around the gray area, right? You can't be a black or white thinker when it comes to your weight. All right. What do you think about cutting bad foods, carbs, etc. for Lent? I mean, that's fine. You know, again, I'm just talking about weight loss. So if you want to, if you're doing Ramadan, Lent, if you're doing it for some spiritual reason or for just any other reason, you're betting people, you know what I mean? Like you do the betting things, like who's going to lose the most weight. That's a whole different thing than I'm talking about. Because I'm talking about weight mastery. And so weight mastery is you getting to your goal weight and then living the rest of your life at your goal weight on near autopilot. That's all I care about. I don't give a shit about cutting out foods for a week or for Lent or whatever. It is what it is. And I think it's interesting. It's a good example of mindset. Right? My wife was just talking to someone, and they practice Ramadan. And so, again, this is such a great example of the power of Ramadan. I have a Mormon client, and so, she fasts once a month, no food for 24 hours. And so there's way more context to it. There's more meaning to it. It's not just about losing weight. It's this big spiritual thing that really means a lot to them. And so they're able to do these things. So again, I don't think much of it other than the fact that it's a good example of when you're congruently motivated, when you're truly motivated with something that's meaningful to you, you can do magical things. So that's what I think about that. Luz says, hi, do you know how to eliminate like the cravings, how to start seeing food is not so great? Yeah, I think the way to not see food is so great is to study what's in it. I'm reading that right now. This Dorito Effect is really good. And I just finished this book. I keep doing it because I keep making the video on it. The Ultra Processed People. When you actually look at what you think is so great, I think it's very eye-opening. And that a lot of the foods you think are so great, I mean, what you really like is the fake flavoring, the consistency, the calories, the sugar high, the calorie hit that you get. And so it's kind of an illusion. But you don't believe that right now. But if you study it and you see what you're actually putting in your body and the effect it has on your system. So you've been conditioned by the diet industry and the food industry. They're one and the same. But you've been conditioned to think of a calorie. A calorie is just a calorie. And while on a very, very technical level that is true, it's the biggest load of horse shit ever. Because a calorie of an apple versus a calorie of a cookie are two totally different things in how you experience them. And you eat the apple, and those calories cause you to feel satisfied, and you don't want to eat more apples. You eat the cookie, and you're not satisfied. You just want to eat more cookie. So, calories are very different. But again, the food companies and the diets have caused you to fixate on calories because they've disembodied that from their shitty fucking foods that they keep feeding us. And so you look at a box of Cheez-Its, which is really, again, if you take the flavoring off of that. There's this book, Salt, Sugar, Fat, and he went to the Cheez-It factory and he tried Cheez-Its that had no salt on it. And he goes, it tastes like metal filings. And so if you took the flavoring off of all your favorite foods, you would quickly find that this is disgusting because it's low quality food stuff. That book, they're talking about Pringles. And I like a Pringle as much as anyone else. But Pringles themselves went to court to try and not get taxed. They're in Britain. This was in Britain, England. They have very funny tax laws. But anyways, long story short, Pringles goes to court and say, we can't be taxed for potatoes because this shit ain't even potatoes. So again, we're eating food stuff that is flavored to taste like things that it doesn't even taste like on top of that anyways, but whatever. So yeah, that's what I say. You can't just think the same way and then all of a sudden magically not eat things you think are so great. I control my eating not because I think like fast food is so amazing, but I stop myself from eating it. I have reframed how I think of fast food. And this is an unusual thing to do. People do this all the time with drugs, with alcohol, with any sorts of addictions, cigarettes. How do they stop being addicted to those substances? A huge part of it is they start thinking about it differently. They start seeing the bigger picture and what it's doing to them. And primarily, they start seeing the consequences. And if you start paying attention, the foods you think are so great, start focusing on the consequences of them. Not just the weight gain, but the consequences that you experience after eating them 5 minutes after you take your last bite. How do you feel mentally, emotionally, physically 5 minutes after you finish eating it? These great foods. And what you'll realize is they're not as great as you thought they were. And the illusion, again, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You start to realize, holy shit, I've been tricked. And we're all being tricked constantly. So that's my answer to that one. Where are you located? I'm in New York. I'm in Massachusetts. I ate chocolate the most. I cut it out totally, but I do have the occasional cake or biscuit. Chocolate is my red line. Yeah, fair enough. And that's what I mean. Like, again, I'm giving you general ideas here and things, but everyone at the ultimately at the end of the day, you got to figure out what works for you. You're your own person. So you need to craft your plan that works for you, which is such a rare thing to think about with weight, right? Because we're just so conditioned. Oh, just tell me what to do. Oh, no carbs? Okay, I'll just do that, right? And we don't even think about it. Right? You think about, again, I think keto is the funniest fucking diet on the planet because it's the most popular one right now. Can you imagine? Jesus Christ. It's just, how can that be possible? Well, I know how part of it's possible is it's a bunch of people not really thinking it through. Because how many times, the average keto person, I don't even know how many times they try to do keto. but it's like, I don't know. I don't want to be offensive, but is it possible that keto gives you brain damage, like specifically short-term memory loss and long-term memory loss? When you're trying a diet for the 20th, 30th, 50th time, what do you think's going to happen that 51st time that didn't happen the previous 50? Which is just my way of saying, please fucking do something different. Can you please just do something different for me? Can you promise me? Can you promise me? You just do something different. Please don't join Weight Watchers again. You know, I'm joking. You do what you want to do, but just keep that in mind. The Yuka app is useful. Yuka app? I don't know that one. Let's look that up. Yuka. Oh, it scans your diet and cosmetics. Oh, so you can scan the food and it tells you kind of what's in it, right? That's great. Yeah, I think that's super. Again, I think the more you educate yourself to what you're eating, it's a journey, man. I've been on this journey for 30 years, and even today, I'm still learning some stuff that's just blowing my mind. Just blowing my mind. I mean, I am telling you, it's like the Matrix. It's that. If you've never seen the Matrix, it's that big. The food thing, it's in this world at this point. It's Matrix level conspiracy. It's just crazy. We're not even eating food. You know what I mean? This processed stuff's not even food. Anyways, I visualize chocolate as piles of sugar. That's great. And everybody said, but yeah, again, the way you think about food, it has everything to do with how much you're going to eat of it. I used to binge on rice cakes. Per your recommendation, I bought the salt-free and flavored version, and I can't stand them now. Yeah. So I'm trying to say, folks, you're being tricked. It's an illusion. The foods you're eating are an illusion. Why do you like the food you like? Because they're, again, they lay this stuff out. And you don't even get, the only way you could really get it, you've got to start, I think, with the cigarettes. Because that's where this story starts, is with the cigarettes. And again, we're right now with the food where we were with the cigarettes in the 1950s. The writing's on the wall. Like, if you know where to look, you can see it's clear what they're doing. It's clear how harmful these things they're selling us are. But we're in this phase where they're still able to fuck with us. And they're sitting on studies, they're confusing us, we're not sure what to do, and meanwhile we're eating their bullshit. There's going to be warning labels on all these processed foods in the next 20 years, just like on the cigarettes. And by the way, the food you're eating, the food companies and the cigarette companies are the same thing. Nah, Jim, now you've gone too far. Have I? Because RJR Reynolds and Nabisco are literally merged. They're the same company. The parent company of Kraft is Philip Morris. They divested from cigarettes in the 70s and went into food and brought the exact same philosophy to create the most addictive product possible, use the most aggressive marketing they possibly could to get everyone addicted to it, and then to sit on all the science of how bad it is for us. Weight-related issues are the second, sometimes first, depending on the year, cause of preventable death. So the diets, which the food companies all own, always focus you weight loss to think about how you look. Because God forbid you realize that just like the cigarettes, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. I guess I'm getting that old I can start to say this, but cigarettes growing up for me, like, you knew they weren't good for you, but you didn't know they caused cancer. It took a lot of public education to link those two things together. And the same thing's going on with food. And why wouldn't it? You're not eating real fucking food. Do you get that? This book, The Dorito Effect, is amazing. This is a great book. Right up there with ultra-processed people is great too. But how about this, right? You never think about this. I'm going to guess. I never thought about it this way. But you're not getting, like, in the real world, you actually, smell and flavor is a huge part of knowing what to eat. Because they call it post-ingestive feedback. So in the real world, you would eat something and it would make you feel better, or it would make you feel worse. And now that flavor gets linked to that feeling, right? So what that leads you to do is it trains you build up a nutritional awareness to know what you need, right? And so you eat lots of different types of foods, lots of different nutrients going in your body. But now what's going on is it's all the same fucking food, but it all tastes different, but it's an illusion, right? So again, you know this because you get Doritos, you get potato chips, whatever your snack food is. Now there's 10 million different flavors of that thing. It's all the same base compound of bullshit, potato, corn, wheat, whatever it's made out of. It's the same base, and then they just put some flavoring over it. But you're always eating the same things. And so what I'm trying to tell you in a roundabout way is there's a great chance if you eat a lot of processed food that you're literally malnourished. You've got a micronutrient deficiency. Why the fuck wouldn't you? If you're not eating fresh fruits and vegetables, greens, beans regularly, why wouldn't you be micronutrient deficient? And if you're micronutrient deficient, is it any wonder that you're hungry all the time? Right? If you don't eat enough calories, what happens? Your body gets a hunger signal and you want to eat. Well, what do you think happens when you're not getting enough nutrients in your body? You get hungry and you want to eat. Do you feel like you're always hungry? Maybe it's got something to do with it. I don't know. So anyways, yeah, you get rid of the salt. It makes you think a lot differently about your food. How did you reframe your perspective on fast food? It's the same stuff. I mean, what is it? What are you eating? I legit, I used to eat fast food constantly. It was practically a holiday for me when McDonald's would do their two for one chicken sandwich thing. It was like Christmas part 2. So I ate the shit out of fast food, grew up with it, loved it. So how did I reframe it? Well, again, I just look at it. That's all you need to do. It's hypnosis. It's an illusion. What's presented to you, you can't take at face value. You have to go deeper and look into what is that I'm putting in my body. What am I putting in my body regularly? And I'm not saying never eat fast food. I don't, you know what I mean? Because I'm at that point, but I'm not saying you have to always get rid of it, but I'm saying just look at it. Just find out what it is. This is another great point. I love this. I forget where I read this, but they were saying what happens, and again, this is, you're trained to do this by the diet industry. You're trained to beat yourself up. That's, again, the diets, I can't say this enough. The diets are owned by the big food companies. So everything you're referencing to lose weight is, would you trust McDonald's diet? Would you trust like Nestle's diet? Would you? I wouldn't, because I don't think they would ever put anything effective out that would hurt their bottom line. Okay. But Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig's owned by Nestle, right? Slim Fast owned by the same company that owns Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I don't think they want you to eat less of their food, personally. And so there's so much psychology about a dieter that's like, if I wanted to be an evil being and create a diet that is like, it seems like it's going to help people, but really it's just going to make them fucked up, make them eat more crappy food. I would create diets because they're literally, it's evil, but it's start to finish. It's so complete. It's such a complete framework to keep you stuck. And part of that framework is that if you don't do well in your diet, which again, we just covered, it's almost impossible to just great with your diet out the gate. But if you're not, the second you make a mistake with your diet, you always blame yourself. And blaming yourself is one of the core reasons why you're stuck, because you're not able to think clearly. Because as soon as you start blaming yourself, you go into this emotional downward spiral and you don't look at things clearly and objectively. So one of the points, I forget where I read this, but what they have found is much more effective for helping people actually change their weight is to stop beating themselves up when they make mistakes and to start to see the food that they're eating as being there by a evil corporation. So again, let me reframe this in a way that we've all experienced. We've gone through this with cigarettes, right? In the 50s, no one thought of cigarettes as evil. You may not have smoked or whatever, but everyone was smoking because no one really realized how bad they were for them. We're literally in the exact same spot. This food is literally killing us, but you don't think of it that way. Just bring it home, right? It's like you think of your favorite processed foods and you don't think of like you imagine like some chefs in a kitchen slaving away on different recipes. All these foods are made in labs now by chemists. They make ice cream flavors. Ben & Jerry's makes ice cream flavors. They put people in fMRI machines and scan their brains, and they drip different solutions into their tongue to see which one lights up their pleasure centers most. This is what we're up against, And so they're getting us addicted to food at this point. And it's not even food. That's the other problem. So anyways, so how do you reframe your perspective on fast food? Is just study it. It takes not that long because I'm telling you, you're all literally walking around in a trance. When people ask me, I don't think I can be hypnotized. It's like, what? What? We all are hypnotized constantly. We have hypnotic brains. So there's no avoiding, what's up, Owen? There's no avoiding being hypnotized. That's just how our brain works. But you've been hypnotized by the food. Okay, let me put it this way. Every commercial you see for food every commercial is a hypnosis session. The most powerful hypnosis session because it's visually and auditory. And it's repetitive. You watch TV and you see the same commercial over and over again. It's on purpose. It works. That's why they do it. But so every food ad you see is hypnosis. That's why, again, people wonder why they have, food noise. Where did the food noise come from? It must be me. Well, no, it's you've been hypnotized since you were born to think about food constantly. So once you start, it doesn't take much to realize it's all bullshit. And so that's a very powerful reframing. So the reframe is that you wake up from the bullshit. You wake up and realize, oh my God. I always think about that as addictive behaviors. It's like, I always define like addictive things we're addicted to is when something that causes us the most pain or a lot of pain, we think is the most pleasurable. And I think that's where the food's at. People think this food's so amazing, but if you zoom out and look at all the pain you're experiencing in your life. Now, again, I'm not saying this is everyone, but I'm saying if you're obsessed with your weight and you're really upset with yourself that you can't lose it and that you're tired of being overweight and all the miserable feelings that causes you, if you zoom out and look, you'll start to realize that food is causing you way more pain than it's giving you pleasure. It's giving you little momentary blips of pleasure, and you're addicted to those little momentary spikes of pleasure. But when you look at the big picture, you zoom out and you realize, holy shit, it's really causing me more pain. And we know this because you can look at any drug addict. This is the process they go, any alcoholic. This is the process they go through when they get clean. Every drug addict that gets clean is always the same thing. When they're caught in the moment to moment, just looking for the hit, that's all they can focus on. Well, at some point, though, they're able to see the bigger picture and realize the negative consequences having their life in all these areas. And that's usually the beginning of them, getting control of it. So, yeah, it's the same thing with the foods. I bought sugar snap pea pods as a snack, and I would never have done that before hypnosis. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so great. Sugar, I'm addicted to sugar. Yeah. Sugar is an addictive substance. It's the closest thing food-wise to cocaine. So, yeah, it's an addictive thing. Healing resistance is the only thing that really motivated me to completely change my diet. Healing resistance? What's that mean? I don't know if that's like healing resistance or that's healing resistance. Resistance to eating better. It's hard to stop eating when you have kind of uncomfortable emotions. How do you deal with that? Yeah, the emotions, I think the emotions at the end of the day, everyone's weight issue is an emotional eating issue, right? Because if we only eat to nourish ourselves, we would eat, nourish ourselves, and be done. Okay, so I'm a big believer that you have got to learn to handle your emotions. Again, you've been conditioned in this society to have food be your main emotional management strategy. Whether you're celebrating, whether you're dealing with bad feelings, food is the easiest way to manage them. So yeah, you got to learn how to manage them more genuinely and naturally. And then once you do that, it makes the whole process way easier. So you're right. It is. But again, don't run away from that. Go towards those uncomfortable emotions. Identify them. Figure out when you feel them. Figure out what you want to feel and how you can go on that path. Is your sign Capricorn? No, it is not. One also needs to take careful note how one feels after eating junk versus eating healthy foods. Absolutely. Again, that's that post-feedback, that post-eating feedback, post-ingestion feedback. That's been that's what I always talk. That's one of the main strategies we use in Program Yourself. Then there's 3 phases of eating: anticipation, consumption, consequence. And every ad, every marketing that food companies spend is to get us focused on anticipation and consumption. This is why every food ad is the person the food's coming towards you, the person eating the first couple bites of food, because that's where all the pleasure is. That's what they want you to stay focused on. What I always help people do, and probably the biggest mindset shift that happens with people that are successful, is they shift the focus. Because when you're deciding, what should I eat? Maybe I'll have some ice cream. You're thinking about the anticipation and consumption in your mind. That's cranking up the cravings, and then you try and fight against that with willpower. The mindset approach is to say, how will I feel 5 minutes after I finish eating that? How will I feel physically, mentally, emotionally? It's usually the mental and emotional ones that are most powerful too, and most overlooked. And so if you want to lose weight, if you're upset about your weight for all the reasons you're upset, 5 minutes after you eat the ice cream, the cookies, the pizza, whatever it is, how do you feel? If you start paying attention to that, what happens is next time you say, I'm going to have some ice cream, instead of just going into a trance, and say, getting it and eating, it's going to be so good. Say, how will I feel 5 minutes after? I feel discouraged. I feel frustrated. I feel full. I feel bloated. I feel phlegmy. I feel frustrated that I did this again. I feel discouraged. I feel like I'm less than. All this stuff, it's right there. And so again, you got the truth on your side. It's not pleasurable. You've been tricked to think it's pleasurable in the same way that drugs are pleasurable. right? You probably, if you're watching this, you're probably not a heroin addict. Why not? I heard feels really good. You're probably not a cocaine addict. Why not? I heard it feels great when you're doing it. Why don't you do it then? Well, Jim, we got to eat. You don't have to eat that bullshit. You can eat normal, natural, healthy food. And you can still eat the bullshit. I like to eat bullshit too. But I like to eat it. My question is, how can I get the most pleasure out of eating the bullshit? Well, it ain't eating it all the time. I can tell you that. It's not eating it all the time and feeling like shit. It's eating it sometimes. That's kind of the sweet spot. So, if it swims in the sea, walks on land, grows on the land, go for that organic. I agree. Absolutely. I like the reframing of non-food stuff. No wonder why I have a problem. My diet has been mainly non-food stuff for years. I totally get that, by the way. I will say, again, I was kind of putting the raw food diet down, and I still do. I think it's too extreme. But it was I'm glad I did it, because it was a very drastic thing, but it really drastically created a very bright line between what real food is and what food stuff is. And if you're eating a lot of processed food, it's like people say, like, oh, how do I deal with the sugar cravings? Well, it's like a cocaine addict saying, how do I deal with the cocaine cravings? And it's the same answer for both. You got to stop doing those things, or at least cut them way down, And so, if you're eating a lot of processed food, the first thing you got to do is start reducing and weaning yourself out of the processed food all the time. Again, this is where the 5-2 model comes in, But once you start getting some days, you start stringing some days together where you're not eating processed junk food primarily, then now you're in the game, because now you know what it's like. It feels like to actually be a human being. Listen, I'm not saying it's negative, but it's like you may have lived your whole life and not even know what it's like to feel like a human being. A human being eats human, real food. You may have been fed a diet of a lot of processed food your whole life. There's no shame in that. A lot of us were. There's no shame in it. But there's a recognition of it. Holy shit. And then followed by hope, excitement. How good can I feel? Holy shit. What happens if I start putting the fuel my body wants in it? Now, again, you're hungry all the time. It's because you're micronutrient deficient, almost guaranteed. Yeah. How do we get sober from sugars? Yeah, that's a great question. That's always an interesting phrase too, And I will say, though, that is a challenge with the food, because food's unique because it's a managed addiction. So it stands out as one of the unusual addictions, because most of the other addictions, abstinence model works great for that. Okay, but food's different because you're eating these foods. So, how do you get sugar? How do you get sober from sugars? Again, what I like to do is I have clean days and pleasure days. And even within my clean days, I will usually eat sugar in the form of chocolate, but it's structured, it's contained. I'm not just randomly eating sugar when I feel like it. So that's the first suggestion I would do is carve out some space, maybe a day if you can do that, or a chunk of the day where you're not eating sugar. Start there and then build on that is what I would suggest. Healing insulin resistance, it was the thing that motivated me. Yeah, sure, right. Because you got a bigger goal, which is a whole other thing. That you wouldn't believe this. I know you wouldn't believe this, but if you've been struggling to lose weight, I guarantee you that the first problem you have is you're not even motivated. You don't even want to lose weight. You weigh exactly what you want to weigh subconsciously. So that's why in Program Yourself Thin, we go through the mindset. That's where you start with the mindset, because it's the most important piece. And the first category of mindset we go through is motivation, because you're not motivated. You don't know how to motivate yourself. Your motivation comes and goes. You have no control over it. Do you know there's a science of motivation? No, but if you know it, it's probably be pretty helpful, right? But yeah, that's part of it, is making this more than just about wanting to look better. You probably don't give a shit about looking better that much, just to be honest. So you got to find a more meaningful reason you want to do this. And so, insulin resistance is an example of that, So that's a great job, because a lot of people get insulin resistance and don't give a shit. So I'm glad you were able to feel that. Thank you very much. You're welcome. That's so important to help curb cravings, burn fat, plus so much more. Absolutely. Do you have any thoughts on semaglutides? Just curious. I have a lot of thoughts on them. I aim to be supportive here, and so I know some people are on them. Some people in my program are on them, so again, I think with a supportive framing around things, I think that it will help some people lose weight. And I think that it's not a permanent solution for anyone. So I think that there's other ways to handle food noise. I've been studying food noise for 30 years. The food noise is your internal dialogue, what you're saying to yourself all day. And I think learning to get control of that's going to serve you much better than taking a pill. And so I think Now, I'm going to speak specifically to my clientele. The people that end up working with me in my program are almost always overthinkers, perfectionists, high achieverish people. And so on top of that, they typically come into the program, even if they're on Ozempic, they feel like they're cheating. They don't feel like they've mastered this, and they haven't. They're using this chemical that kind of quiets, for some people, by the way, it doesn't work for everyone. So they take this chemical that helps them to eat less. But they know they haven't mastered things. And again, it's just one thing. And so you'll eat less food. But again, with Program Yourself Thin, it's a much more holistic approach. Again, it's the weight mastery pyramid, mindset, lifestyle, eating. And so I think with a holistic approach, you get holistic benefits. You get much deeper, more profound benefits than just the weight loss. And I think this is important because ultimately your weight is a reflection of your mindset. And this is no greater evidence of this than people that get stomach surgeries. Shrink your stomach down to this big, and a lot of people put the weight back on. So again, we got to deal with the mindset. And so a lot of people do Ozempic. Imagine being on Ozempic for the next 30, 40, 50 years, the rest of your life. Never mind that it's extremely expensive, but it's a new medicine. We don't even know what it does yet. And it only helps you to eat less food. There's so much more at stake. So that's my feeling on it. I find that my type of clientele, they're not satisfied with that. They may use it even as a tool, but it's a step in the direction because it's not a solution. I heard a doctor explain it best, I thought, that Ozempic's kind of like if you're sinking in quicksand and someone throws you a shovel. That's kind of Ozempic. So it doesn't solve the problem. It just helps you deal with it for a little while. And so until you change your mindset, the mindset shift is the only way you can really solve it, And so I think that once you frame it that way, again, whether you want to use it in the short term or not, that's up to you. You got to realize it's just it's not the finish line. It doesn't fix things. It just kind of helps you for a little bit in some ways. So that's my big thoughts on it. So I'm glad you appreciate that. All right, everyone, I got to get out of here. Again, if you're not in my world, go to my bio, click the link, get the hypnosis session, watch the video I made for you, and read the emails I send you. Follow me. If you don't follow me on TikTok or Instagram, wherever the hell you might be watching me right now, follow me because I'll just pop up, and who knows, one of my videos might pop up and help you right at the right moment. And then the podcast is Program Yourself Thin. It's a live podcast put up there every day, every weekday. We put one up, and people are liking it. So if you listen to it and like it, make sure you leave a review. That really helps me out a lot, and I would appreciate that. And then if you're really serious and you want to work with me, you can go to programyourselfthin.com and you can learn about the program there and work with me. So thank you so much, everyone. I really, really appreciate all your questions. A super good day here. A lot of good stuff. So thanks so much. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.